Don't use Stack Overflow, use ChatGPT as your coding assistant. Let me show you how efficient it is. So here I opened up ChatGPT. I can write my prompt saying, write the Python code to print the first 100 Fibonacci numbers. Give me the actual code and not the output. We need to be very explicit in our prompts. That is, if we only have the first sentence without the give me the actual code, then sometimes ChatGPT will just create the Python code inside it and then just prints the Fibonacci numbers. Here we want the Python code. So when I click enter here, we are getting the Python code snippet. And I can just copy the code here. We can even see that ChatGPT documents the code and it even gives us a little bit of an explanation. So let's go to our desktop, right click here, make a new folder and call this one coding. Then we navigate to Visual Studio Code. We will create the folder and the file. So I go up here to File. I'll say Open Folder. I'll find the folder that I just created, which was called coding. So I click Select Folder. We also go up here to File, say New File, Python file, and I'll just say Control-V to paste it in here. Then I will say Control-S to save it. And I will not call it Untitled1. I will call this one Fibonacci. And then I will click Save. We can try to execute it here. So when I click Run here, we can see that it indeed prints out the first 100 Fibonacci numbers. Great. We also want to maybe include this Python script to a web application, so we can also have a front end for the user. I just go back to ChatGPT, and then in the same sequence as this, so beneath it, I can say, rewrite this as a web application that takes an input from the user and stores it in the variable n. N must be a number, and the app will present the first n Fibonacci numbers to the user. Write all the code in a single snippet, and then I hit enter. Then we can see here that we are going to use Flask, which is a micro web framework for Python. So before we can use Flask, we need to install it. No problem. I'll just go down to my Start menu. Then I type CMD to find the command prompt and open it. Here I will just say pip to install the package, and I'll say install Flask. Click enter, you will see that it installed. That's it. Then I can close down this command prompt. Now I will say copy code to take this code. Then I will go back to Visual Studio Code. I go up to File. I'll say New File, Python, and here I will say Control-V to paste it in here. And I'll also say Control-S to call it something. Let's call it Fibonacci web app and click Save. Now let's try to execute this. You will see here that it's running on HTTP. Press Control on your keyboard. Press it here. And let me just make sure we do it like this. And it will open up. Here I can enter a number, and that will be how many Fibonacci numbers I want. For example, 5. It will say the first 5 Fibonacci numbers are. Of course, the user interface is not perfect, so I need to do this to go back. But if I wanted 100 Fibonacci number, I simply just do this, and it calculates. So given that the UI is not so nice here, we can ask ChatGPT to add a modern layout to this. I could also wish for some more features, which we will just let ChatGPT do for us. So let me just go back here. And that could be, before we jump back, that could be like if I say -2 here, You can see here that value must be greater than equal to 1. So there is a built-in validation in, just to make 100% sure that this validation is there. So I'll go back to, back to ChatGPT here. And then we will say add a modern layout to the site. Take inspiration from the Matrix movies. Also add some cool JavaScript functionality to the app here. And then we will be giving the code. Sometimes it's a little bit slow, but it's, yeah, imagine that we should do this ourselves, how slow that would go. So here, we can even see what it's doing. It will involve some CSS for styling, JavaScript for dynamic content, and here it comes. I just need to copy it once it's finished. Here we can see all the styling. I just need to copy it, and then it will work. There will be little debugging in ChatGPT, and that is because we are, it's so good. And even if it produces some errors, just type in the errors in ChatGPT and it will solve it for you. So here we go. And yes, I'm so excited by this. For me as a developer, it saves me so many hours. So here we can see that what's new. I just go up here, copy this code, go back to Visual Studio Code. Control V, we can see we now have 85 lines of code. I have no idea how slow this would have taken me to write. So when I click Start once more, I can go up here and press Control. Open up in the browser. Here it opens. Now we can see that we have a cool matrix theme. So for example, if I want 8 Fibonacci numbers, the first 8 Fibonacci numbers are, and we are staying on the same side. So we are not like before having to jump back and forth in the UL. Can also try to say -15. And here we can see that we need some input validation. The first -15 Fibonacci numbers are 0, and that's because it's not defined. So let's use ChatGPT to give some input validation in the code. And here I will just below here, I will say make some input validation and present the message in a pop-up window. So I literally just say what I want, and then I will say update the entire code. The reason I do this is because that otherwise sometimes ChatGPT will just give me a snippet with this update, and then I should copy paste it myself. Now I can just get the entire code updated with this little extra. That is just because I'm lazy. I'm an automation developer, so don't blame me. You're probably like that as well. Now it will update the code, and again it takes one line of code at the time, and I can only recommend you getting started. You will make some errors here in the beginning where you just use ChatGPT as your coding buddy, but in like a week or two, this will save you so much time and you will become the star at the office. I promise you, this is the best thing that happens to me as a developer. So here we have the code. Let's say copy code. Go back to Visual Studio, delete everything, Control V, and I can try to run it again. And if I go up here or find it in the browser, I can see if this works. So I can take the first 6. Let's see what happened when I write -6. You can see here it comes with a pop-up saying, please enter a positive integer greater than 0. I can also try with 0. That's it. We have created the input validation. If we want coding languages with more muscles, such as C, C++, or C#, it's very easy to get. So if I go back here, I can simply just say rewrite this to use C# instead, hit enter. Then it will create the web application using ASP.NET, and yeah, you will have the code written out. Let us fast forward here. That's it. So here we have the C# code to be used. We will not go in that route, but it's easy to see how powerful this is. So what I will do instead is to go up here where it says rewrite this to use C# instead. Click this little edit, and I will continue from here. That means that I will have two branches, one C# branch, and I'll continue the Python branch because that's the language we use today. So here I can say optimize the code so it runs more stable. Assume the users will try to break the system. Explain the changes you make. Like this, and I can click save and submit. That's it. Here we can see it gave us the code which we wanted to run more stable, and we assume that the users would try to break it. So it updated the Flask, and then it says, well, the HTML is the same, so I won't give you that. That's why I always want to say update the entire snippet to give the entire snippet of code. Instead of this, now I should sit and copy paste myself. So let's scroll a little bit up here to optimize the code. Let's just stick with the first one that is good for it now. We can also comment and test our code. So here I can say write extensive comments to this code, and then I can say save and submit. And now we can see that we are getting extensive comments to the code. Here you can see all the gray ones that are the extensive comments. So far, so good. I can also use it to process description. That is, that I can have the code documented in a process document, which is very convenient, especially since I hate writing myself. I just want to write the code. So let's just start writing while ChatGPT works from the previous task. So here I can say write process documentation for this web app. Start with an overview and purpose of the code. Feel free to steal this code. This is the one that I use a lot. Then describe the functionality step by step, and finish with a technical section with a description of key libraries used and a description of the architecture, like this. And here we can see, and let me just copy this prompt here, so I'm making sure I have it in the clipboard, because I can just say continue generating. Sometimes this one disappears. That is just ChatGPT that saves tokens, so you can literally see it just needed to output the last one, but to save tokens, and that is computation, and that is money, it will say, well, you need to click continue if you want the rest. That's fine. Now we will get our process documentation. So here you can see that overview and purpose, and then we have the functionality and everything. So we're getting everything documented, and yes, as a developer, this is the kind of job I hate, that is to write these things. We can also use ChatGPT to develop test cases based on the code. So I simply just go down here and then I say, now I want to test my program. Design 3 test cases for me. Export these in an Excel sheet that I can download. Make relevant columns in the Excel sheet, including date of test, result, etc. So yeah, I only have 3 test cases. I could, of course, have said write every test case you can imagine, but this is just to save your time and my time. But this is another powerful weapon of the ChatGPT arsenal. So when I click here, it will start generating these 3 test cases and outputted it to Excel. Then we will see. And here it will take, like, it needs to go around the clock, this little purple one here. But once that is done, it will give you some text explanation. That's what I like with ChatGPT. It always gives you explanations to everything. So even if it just gives you some simple code, it will tell you how to apply it. Here it says that I created an Excel sheet. I can download it by clicking here. Find it up here. Let's try to open it. And here it comes. And here it is. We have 3 test cases. We have the input that we should give, the expected output, and I can put in my actual output that it gave me and the actual result if it's a positive or negative. Very powerful. ChatGPT is also great at finding errors in your code. So let's go back to Visual Studio. Let's just start here in the return by deleting S. It's quite clear here that we have an error because Visual Studio Code tells us, but let's try with this one. So I press Control A, Control C, and then I go to ChatGPT. Now open up a new chat, and here I say there is an error in the code below. Find it for me, colon, and then I press Shift Enter 2 times, Control V to paste it in, and here it quickly comes up with the error. It says that it is in the last line of the Fibonacci function. We knew that. Fibonacci number is not defined in your function. You probably meant Fibonacci numbers. Yes, I did. But that one was an easy one. What happens if I go up here, for example, in the HTML, in this min here, I can delete a quotation mark. Then I can Control A, Control C, copy it. And let me scroll, let me take a new chat. And here I can say there is an error in the code below. Find it for me. Press Control V. So now, and let me just be clear, in Visual Studio Code, I'm not getting an error up here. So that one will be harder to debug. And I can just send it through here. And then we say that here it says that it's the error in the code is the HTML put tag for the one. It says that we need a quotation mark. Bingo, that was true. We definitely needed the quotation mark, which was here. I can also use ChatGPT as my study buddy. So if I create a new chat, that is to clean the context. Now I want to create a Python study plan and I hit enter. A very high level prompt, which will give me a high level result with a lot of variation. That's fine for now. We will iterate it to have the perfect Python study plan based on your needs. And let us just make it finished. I want resources and links. So we want it actionable. That is that we will have relevant links to online material, which we will not get now in this basic ones. It gives us some resources, but you see that I cannot click anything. And it even says that we should learn Flask down here. That's the web development with Python, which we covered today, briefly at least. So a very extensive study plan, great for just a prompt of 5 words. And here it starts. Then let's just say, great. Rewrite the entire study plan and update it with resources and links. Present the URLs in a plain format, e.g., and I say https example.com. And this is because I know otherwise it will have some very unclickable links. So if you say this last one here, that's another good tip, then you will get the actual links. Now I will have actionable links here. We can see that Python basics, that we will have some docs Python here with the link. We will have some automated boring stuff and a lot more. So now we get these links that we can use in our study plan. I can also make it even more personal. Here it assumes that we have I think it was 14 weeks. That's way too much for me. I want to learn Python in 4 weeks. Just, I can do that. So while ChatGPT works, then we say make the study plan 4 weeks. I have 10 hours every week to study, like this. And then let's just do this. So now it will say that we got 4 weeks with 10 hours per week, and it will refine the study plan. Again, very powerful resource to learn Python. You can see it's still got the links here, and that is fine. I can also make it even more personal, taking my experience into consideration. Of course, you have your experience, you just change that parameter. So here again, we can give the following prompt. I can say act as a Berkeley data science professor. I have experience with multiple programming languages and have worked with tech for 10 years. Rewrite the study plan to take this into account. So again, here, of course, you're not a Berkeley data science professor, but ChatGPT is, and then we're telling it to create the study plan for us. So we make ChatGPT become the Berkeley data science professor, and craft the plan for us. Now we can see we get a more advanced study guide. That is because we assume that we have 10 years of tech experience and we knew multiple programming languages. So now we have a good study plan. One of the errors that many makes, that is that we only use it, we only read about it, but we forget to use it. So we can also do a following up prompt on that, which I recommend. So here I can say that create hands-on assignments like this for each week that teaches me to use the techniques. And then we can say it should take around 5 hours to complete. So here we can make ChatGPT create assignments for us, and then you will see that we will just take the first week, but this is so powerful. This is my favorite tool. Here we can see create a customer iterator class that mimics the range function but supports floating point inputs. We can of course ask ChatGPT to expand these assignments, and there you go. You don't have to go to university anymore to learn all these things. You can learn it with ChatGPT. ChatGPT can also help us in job interviews. So let me create a new instance here. So here I can say create a concise list of questions and answers for a Python job interview covering essential concepts and practical skills for a beginner. Include explanations like this, thank you, and coding example where applicable. And of course, you will have a different experience. You can also paste in your CV. So here it says that what is Python and why is it popular? We have the answer. How do you declare and use variables in Python? So it gives you all these questions that you can face at the job interview as a Python beginner. You can even make it more advanced. You can say what other technologies you will be questioning. And this is, I believe, the most powerful function of the ChatGPT, that we can test ourselves as well. So the next lesson is right here. I hope to see you, and thanks for joining today.